Yo, what it do, brothers? You're not tuned in all that R.A.R.A with your Hebrew brother, Judah. What's going on, brothers? So, brothers, there is a phenomenon that is taking place right now, which is called black fatigue. And, brothers, just to be frank, so-called black people who have a ruler mentality, or so-called black people who would deem themselves as law-abiding citizens, have had what you would call, quote-unquote, black fatigue. And the thing is, to see it now on the mainstream, a lot of so-called black people will get upset and think that it's racism. But what they're not understanding is their actions, especially on social media. And to be completely honest, and to be completely fair, it's honestly a small group of people, but they get pushed to the forefront. But I digress. Their actions and the things that they post on social media and the things that they do, get arrested for, go to jail for, is honestly pretty heinous. It's pretty ridiculous. And we all know that so-called black people are not a monolith. But as I stated earlier, the things that get pushed to the forefront, the things that get pushed on the mainstream, what you see on the news, what you see in the entertainment industry, the way NBA players conduct themselves, athletes, period, the way they conduct themselves, the way rappers conduct themselves, and so-called black people who idolize those people, NBA players, NFL players, sleeping with this woman, that woman, this woman, that woman, getting this woman, that woman pregnant, having this child and that child and this child and that child, losing all type of money, right? Rather than acquiring as much money as they can while they are in their profession and then getting out and getting married, just showing a lack of wisdom, right? And a lot of brothers out here lack wisdom. A lot of brothers out here lack discretion. A lot of so-called black women out here lack discretion and they lack wisdom. But the thing is, the so-called black man is the head. And if he's not headed in the correct direction, he can't expect the so-called black woman to head in the proper direction either. Right? And on top of that, what makes everything worse is that a lot of so-called black people, and when I say so-called black people, please understand that I am speaking about a specific group of so-called black people, blackity blacks, wokety wokes, niggas that love to clickety clack and talk shit all day on the internet. They love to play the victim. They are extremely entitled. But at the same time, they love to brag about how they are so much better than other races. Right? And it's like, you can't have both. Either you are the best or you're oppressed. But even still, when the best finds themselves oppressed, they look for a way to get from under that oppression rather than complaining about it. So, even still, the brother Aaron McGruder, for you brothers who used to watch the Boondocks, he pretty much mentioned what you would call black fatigue around 2003. Right, and brothers, we are going to analyze what he said because, as the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. And a lot of the things that you see today, they've already happened. A lot of the things that is going on, people have already had these ideas, but now they are honestly to the point where they just don't care anymore, and they're just going to speak on it. But with all that being said, brothers, let's do some real and rare analysis. Let's get it.
I really want you guys to understand that time is running out. And a lot of black people say that, but for real, part of why the civil rights movement has been so successful, and part of why those who have come after in terms of our leadership have been able to maintain a presence, is that black people have always had a certain amount of moral currency that we have been using.
Now, when it comes to civil rights leaders, it's all about perspective, because brothers who are into the scriptures, they understand that, or they should understand that, civil rights leaders for the most part did not serve the God of the Bible. Therefore, the things that they did was never going to fully prosper, because it wouldn't really have the blessing of the Most High. Now, when the brother Aaron McGruder stated that so-called black people did live by a moral compass, yes, I can agree with that, because like I stated, it's all about perspective. And with perspective, for brothers who are not extremists, they can understand nuance, right? And no, most civil rights leaders didn't necessarily serve the God of the Bible, but the image that they put forth was an image of class. It was an image of dignity and an image of integrity, right? It didn't necessarily have to be a righteous image for that image to be respected. It just had to be a respectable image, right? Men being men, taking care of their families. Women being women, understanding that the man is supposed to lead, right? When women used to wear their real hair, their afros, And it was just all about class. But now, and even still, back then when the brother was talking, and before that, so-called black people have lost that about themselves. And when I say so-called black people, like I stated earlier, I'm not talking about most so-called black people, but the so-called black people that are pushed to the forefront and that happen to be celebrated. And what you would see on reality TV and what you would see in the entertainment industry, they're not putting forth a respectable image for the most part. Yes, they may be talented at what they do, but a lot of brothers who are in the entertainment industry, they're not respected outside of their profession, right? Like I stated earlier, I mean, you would look at a brother like Anthony Edwards, for as good as he is at basketball, who looks at him as a young man who's intelligent, right? Zion Williamson, as talented as he is, who looks at him like a young man who is intelligent, right? What's the other brother who played for the Rockets? Jalen Green. You know what I'm saying? And those are people who really you read about and see on social media, where a lot of impressionable minds are at, right? And where a lot of people, they live their reality on social media. So what they see is what they think everybody is in the quote-unquote so-called black community. But no, it's not like that. But you also can't get mad at them for what they see. You can't tell them their eyes see something that it's not looking at, right? You can't tell them what they see on social media. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't care who dislikes that, but a lot of so-called black people got to get their shit together, man. And they got to clean that image up.
And let me be the first to tell you, that's used up. White America has been watching us act like fools for a long enough time where any sympathy they may have had to our plight is completely gone.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But it's not about what so-called white people are watching. It should be about us and us policing ourselves and us understanding that we should be what we claim to be, which is better than everyone else. Therefore, we will have to act that way as well. It's not just about how talented we are, how well we can do something. Behavior counts also as being better, right? And I'm not saying we should be in a race to be better than someone else, but we should be the best versions of ourselves. And if so-called black people are the best versions of themselves, then we all know the truth. Ain't nobody fucking with so-called black people, but at the end of the day, so-called black people do have to put down that victim mentality. so-called black people have to put down that entitlement mentality, right? Always trying to argue with so-called white people, caring about what so-called white people think, but then trying to turn around and impress so-called white people. I don't care what nobody says, man. A lot of so-called black people want to impress so-called white people. They want to hug. Right? Look at me, Mr. So-called white man. I'm trying to be 2 times as good as you so I can do the same thing as you. So-called black man, you need to go own something. Go figure something out, man. Go figure out what you're good at and go try to make some money off of it. Right? A lot of brothers want to complain, man. You're not going to get nowhere by complaining. You got to try to do something.
You're approaching a country that, forget hating black people or not hating black people, they just don't care. You can be talking about affirmative action, they can be like, I don't care. It literally is of no importance to me. I don't care about slavery. I don't care about segregation. I don't care about you. I don't care how many of you all go to jail. I don't care at all, because I'm broke.
Agreed. People get tired of so-called black people expecting everyone to be so sympathetic and so empathetic. And one thing I will say is, it's not far-fetched to at least expect some empathy. But to expect everyone to be sympathetic and to jump for your problems, which a lot of so-called black people bring on themselves, is ridiculous. I mean, even down to so-called black men. I mean, Kevin Samuels used to say that the world doesn't owe you understanding when he used to talk to some so-called black women who used to call in on his show. And a lot of brothers, they understand that concept when they're talking shit to a woman. But when they are trying to get some empathy, and then they come to the realization that nobody cares and that nobody is coming to save them, then the first thing they do is get in their feelings like a damn woman. Right? And like I said, brothers are the head. So brothers do have to understand that they set the tone, and the tone that a lot of brothers have set is a bad one. Now, what I will say, there is a remnant of brothers and sisters who are doing right according to the law, statutes, and commandments. And then you can also look around and see that there are brothers who are manly. There are brothers who run their home and take care of their home and take care of their wife and children, or their woman and children, or their women and children. You know what I'm saying? So you always have to acknowledge the good with the bad. But a lot of times, the so-called black man has an issue with the bad that's being called out because he wants to cover it up and only speak about the good. But no, that doesn't do the so-called black man, the so-called black boy, or the so-called black woman and girl any justice. People need to see the truth. People need to understand that being pro-black is not beneficial. People should be pro-truth and pro-logic. And me, myself, I am a man. I understand that, there are issues in the society and that the so-called black man does have to go through things which a lot of times are unnecessary. But at the same time, I would be a fool to sit here and act like the so-called black man as a whole displays wisdom. Right? And like I stated, I am a man. I have emotions. I have feelings. I have ways that I wish things could go. But one thing that I would never do is let my emotions outweigh my logic. I'm going to always tell you what I think. I'm going to always tell you what I see. And brothers should do the same instead of trying to live in a fantasy world or trying to get everyone to understand them. Brothers, if you want someone to understand you, take it to the Most High. That's what you should do.
You can't be the proud, noble fighter when every single time someone sees a person that looks like you on television, they're acting like a damn fool. How would they know? How would they know you're not a damn fool?
Exactly. That's like two men arguing in the middle of the street. One man is intelligent, one man is not so intelligent. And people are walking by seeing these two men argue in the middle of the street. No one is going to be able to tell who's the man who is not intelligent because both of you are in the middle of the street arguing. Both of you look intelligent. It doesn't matter who is correct about what you are arguing about. You both look silly as hell arguing in the middle of the street. Our people love to exalt themselves, but at the same time, they love to play the victim. You can't exalt yourself if you're going to play the victim all the time. It has to be one or the other. You can't have it both ways. And at the same time, you shouldn't even exalt yourself. The people around you should do it. In your circle, they should do it. Because they should understand that you are a man of integrity. You are a man who demands his respect by his actions, not by his words. So-called black man. And also, brothers, I have to say, brothers should stop trying to go back and forth with the woman, trying to correct the woman. Because you're beating a dead horse. You're going up a dead-end road. What you should do is correct your woman. And if you don't have a woman, what you should do is make sure that you are being the best version of yourself. That way, when you do attract a woman into your life, she is going to understand the boundaries that you have. And you are also going to have to verbally set those boundaries. And you're going to have to stand on them as a man. But that is how you demand your respect. And around your brothers, you are going to have to be truthful. You're going to have to be honest. Even if you are a brother who has foibles and your foibles happen to come up a lot, be honest with yourself. Be honest with your brothers. Don't complain all the time. Take accountability and say, I fucked up here, I fucked up there. Because fuck ups do happen. We are human. But what we should be doing is trying to gain as much wisdom as possible. That way, we can limit those fuck ups and start making wise decisions. But what we should do most and first and foremost is serve the Most High. Because everything comes from there, keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. When we are not doing that, brothers, we are out of whack. Because he is our head. He is who we are supposed to submit ourselves to. If we want to live a prosperous and peaceful life, when we don't submit ourselves to him, our women don't submit themselves to us. Our children don't submit themselves to us. Right? We find things harder than they have to be. Brothers, when you read the scriptures, one thing you'll realize is it teaches you how to live a peaceful life. A lot of the laws, statutes, and commandments, they are to keep you safe. They are to keep you healthy. They are to keep you out of harm's way. You know, a lot of times our people want to go against the scriptures and say, that's the white man's book. But at the same time, you know, they love to live lawlessly and live reckless. And when you live contrary to that, you know, they love to call you a square. Like the brother TSU Surf, who I did a video on previously. But brothers, that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, we have to understand that we can't blame anyone but ourselves for our situations that we are in our life, especially as adults. I mean, things happen in our childhood, things happen in our adulthood. But once we are adults, we have to be able to identify the issue and rectify it. Period. Especially as men. We can't keep complaining about what goes on in this society if we aren't trying to correct ourselves first and foremost. If we aren't trying to see the best version of our people first and foremost. If we keep praising degeneracy, if we keep turning a blind eye to it, then we can't get upset when someone else points it out. When someone else points out that you say Black Lives Matter, but you're also screaming Free Lil Quan Quan, and he's locked up because he shot Lil Pook Nuke in the face after he robbed him. So it's just R.I.P. Lil Pook Nuke, but free Lil Quan Quan, man. No. That's hypocrisy. And a lot of our people do that. But if a so-called white person kills one of our people, then it's an uproar. Right there in the streets, tearing down the streets, protesting. It just doesn't make sense. We have to correct ourselves first. All of our issues are in-house, first and foremost. Once we correct that, then a lot of things will turn for us.
Wait, they gonna talk to you? Yeah, right.
But with that being said, brothers, that's all that real and rare analysis. Brothers, always look in the mirror. Always ask the man in the mirror, am I a better person than I was yesterday? And can I be a better person by the end of the day? Yo.